Hello and welcome to the K-Rad Radio Podcast. My name's Kris with a K. I'm your host. This is the show that's about anything and everything that's rad. Tonight we are graced with the lovely Robbie Daze of Adero, an amazing band here in Phoenix, and I'm honored to have you as a guest here. So,
awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. That's actually really cool, just out of nowhere, and I really didn't know what to expect. So this is pretty rad.
Amazing. So it's really just an open format to, help spread your message and help reach some more peeps about what you've got going on and, just share some rad vibes and positivity. So I saw your guys' new Purple Haze video.
Yes.
And I thought it was sick. I got to ask you, I feel like you guys partner with the Rock Bottom Bros here a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it their production company that does like most of that stuff, or?
So Purple Haze is something completely different. Purple Haze was something me and Adero called one of our friends, Hiram Hernandez, who's an amazing producer, writer, musician.
Oh, I know Hiram. I see him on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
West Coast, right?
Yeah, everybody knows him.
Right.
But we just went down and recorded a cover because we had no content. We've only been a band for a year, so we needed that content.
That's it?
Yeah.
You guys have only been together for a year?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And not even like a full band. Me and Adero ourselves have been together for a year. But the whole band, we've had, interchanging moving parts. It's just hard to find people who are as driven, and also the lifestyle that we live. And, it's hard to find that good parallel mix, and then also like the family aspect of it.
Right.
But yeah, we just needed content. So we went, recorded the song, recorded a video, and put it out there.
It's sick.
Rock Bottom Brothers videos, Mike Hill and Paul Anthony, they do all that stuff themselves. Everything from recording the stuff when we're in the live rooms, mixing the stuff, and then editing all the videos. So just them. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it came out really good. I'm a huge fan of your sound. I get a lot of like Leonard Skinner meets Stevie Nicks with like Hendrix reincarnate on the guitar. If you ever have a chance to see him, I highly recommend checking them out here in the Phoenix scene. And yeah, I've played a couple times with them, and they're just super humble and awesome, like rockers. So I wanted to ask you too, so how did Adero is their lead guitarist, and I really don't know too much about how you guys met, or like how did this whole thing kind of come about?
So I've been in bands inside of the Phoenix area for ever, since I moved here from Georgia. I did the thing to piss off my parents and joined a metal band, and then just rode with it. But it's not ever really what I wanted to do. I wanted to do rock and roll. Those are my roots. Leonard Skinner and Stevie Nicks are both my idol. Ronnie Van Zant, all them. But I was in bands for forever. Stopped being in those metal bands because it didn't really fulfill what I wanted it to. And was thinking, what would be sick if I just started my own, what everybody thinks, and it's way easier, than an idea right now. It's so
Oh my God.
hard.
I know. I feel like that's the most common misconception too, is that people who aren't as well versed in music, they'll be like, oh, check out this new artist that I just found. And they'll show a song that's on the radio, and a lot of times they don't realize that artist has been grinding and failing and falling on their face and making great music and grinding for 5+ years.
Totally.
Keeping everything together.
Totally.
And I think that that's a big misconception that people have. And it's oh yeah, you just put out one pop song, or you get signed. What was Panic at the Disco?
Yeah.
You got signed before they played one show?
Yeah.
That's not normal.
No,
That's
but
not normal.
Brendan Urie. Has anybody ever told you look like him also? Brendan Urie?
No.
Really? I thought that.
I'll take it. It's a good looking dude.
Yeah, I thought that from them. I was like, Brendan.
I wish I had a voice like Brandon Urie. God damn, that guy's got some range.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, no. I wanted to start a band. I looked forever. I had people turn me down. They only knew me from this metal scene, and now I want to play rock and roll. So
What did you do in the metal band?
I sang and I screamed.
Ah, that's cool. All
Yeah,
right.
I did the metal thing all the way. But one day, I don't know how me and Adero became friends on social media, but she sent me a Snapchat one day, and it was her just ripping like a blues song. And I was like, that's it. That's her. Like, I know I have to have her. I saw her tag. I went on Facebook. Comes to find out we're friends on Facebook too. Coincidence? I think not. You know? So I messaged her and I was like, hey, I just got your Snapchat. You're an amazing guitar player. From what I saw so far, do you want to meet up? Let's talk about music. Have you ever been in bands? And she denied me. Yeah, denied me nonstop. Like, again, metal girl wanting to be in this rock and roll.
Sure.
You know, but I've always been rock and roll. I just did it to piss off my parents. Like, come on. No.
That's fair.
But yeah, so I begged her for months. You know, I was like showing her all my influences. I was like, just meet me. I was like, I'll buy you drinks. Like, I'll do whatever you want. Just come meet me.
Sure.
So we went out. We got drinks. I sung Dream On with her by Aerosmith. And we were a band ever since.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
That's a good song. No, she wails. I remember that the first time I met her, I was a little intimidated. I was like, oh, look at this. She's so, like, stoic and badass.
She is. And this is actually her first band she's ever been in.
No way.
Yeah, she's never been in a band
I can't wait
before.
I'm going to have her on at another time, too.
Definitely.
And, like, catch back up with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, that's great. So you guys met on social media and
Yeah.
then kind of just grew from there once you, like, earned, like, her respect.
Well, I think she didn't think it was a real thing, you know? She didn't know me from anywhere. I didn't know her from anywhere. I just had this idea in my head that I want to be in a band and this is what I want to pursue. So jump on board or I'm going to make you
Get
jump
the fuck
on
out.
board.
I'm going to find someone that does want to do it with me. Yeah, no, I feel you 100%.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I described your guys' sound. Like, how would you describe your sound? Or, like, how would you guys, like, what's your ideal mix? Or, like, how would you describe your sound to other people?
Usually we like to say it's like party rock and roll with feeling behind it. You know, our songs make you want to drink whiskey and smoke cigarettes and, you know, have sex and go wild. But, you know, every song really has a meaning behind it. We're just not the kind of people who put on the front like, oh, we're sad, we're this, that, the other thing. This is how we deal with our problems. You know, we party about it. You know?
No, 1,000%.
But it's very strong, in your face. I like to be very fluent with my sexuality. So does Adero. We like to bring sexuality. That's okay. Just it's noise. Honestly, it's noise that we turned into rock and roll. But very blues, very country meets, you know, California 1984 rock and roll.
I love it. I agree. I get a lot of Southern vibes and just, it's very expressive. Like, your performance is always really good. So
Thank you.
It's awesome. Take pride.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. You know, I feel like with any band comes obstacles and adversity. Have you guys had to overcome anything like that so far? Or do you feel like...
Absolutely. From the beginning. The crazy thing about me and Adero is that it's never been easy. But we've always pushed through, and we even say, you know, the good old Adero way, and, you know, last minute it just comes together. You know, we've had me and Adero have been the only permanent members throughout the entirety of it.
Right.
So our rhythm section has constantly been changed. To even just recently we got a brand new drummer, but we feel like he's the one.
Right on.
But I know, right? Fingers crossed, because he is the best drummer that I have seen to date. And we've had some great musicians in our band, but we always knew they weren't permanent. But we think he's gonna stick around for a while. So
Toy.
yeah,
Awesome.
that was tight.
No, it's rad. It's awesome. No, I think that's sick. Like, I feel like that's such a huge part. It's like when you're forming a band, when you have one compadre that you can always lean on.
Totally.
I feel like that's key. Like, in my first band that I was in, it was like me and the guitarist.
Totally.
Front man, lead guitarist, and it was like everything else kind of fell into place after that. But when you don't have that, it's so weird. Like, it's so weird being an outsider from that perspective. Like, because I've been on both sides of that, and I feel like if you can have that one person that you're connected to, like, to stick it through, it's almost like God, what's his name? Frickin' from the Stones, Keith.
Oh, Keith Richards.
Yeah, Keith Richards and frickin'
Mick Jagger.
Yeah, Mick Jagger. Yeah, duh. God. They were homies. They were the best friends, and
everyone, Axl, Slash, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page. I mean, that's like the most iconic thing. If you don't have that, I mean, what do you really have?
What's the chemistry? Yeah, you got to be willing to build around the vocalist, and the vocalist has to be willing to work around the guitar.
Absolutely.
And like that. Those are the two pieces that I feel like, especially in rock music, stick out the most.
Absolutely.
They kind of make the sound.
Definitely. I mean, without one or the other, I mean, you can have a great guitar player, but if you have like a mediocre vocalist, you'll never truly, take that guitar player, and also vice versa, not saying like you can't grow into that, iconic, duo thing, because me and Adero still have, we've made strides, but we've got a lot more to do, you know? But I feel like if you have one and the other that just mesh perfectly, the rest of the band kind of falls into place. And that's what's been happening. But recently, like, it hasn't been the entire time.
Sure. Well, I agree 1,000%. I wanted to know too, because I know that I think you guys and a few other like female fronted bands in Phoenix on like Women of Rock playing shows.
Definitely.
And I think that's rad as hell. And I wanted to ask you, like, have you experienced, like, in your time in, like, the music scene and, like, in the music business, like, have you experienced any kind of, like, I don't know if I would say, like, sexism or, like, just, like, being treated differently as being, like, a female rocker?
Totally. And me personally, I knew this going into it, that it would be viewed differently. Almost like like, oh, I like that music, but I don't like it because a female is singing it. Like I said, like I was in metal bands before, and I would try to audition for different metal bands. So like, you kind of bring down the masculinity of us. It's like, man, sometimes I feel like I have bigger huevos than half the men on stage,
1,000%.
Yeah. So, and that's without even seeing me, but definitely, when you get on stage, your hair has to be great, your outfit has to be great. If something malfunctions, then, forget the music at that point, But, if it happens to a dude, maybe that's not always the case, Not only that, but even our last show, we played at Rock Bar. Mm-hmm. And the whole time, it was an amazing show. Yeah. Shout out to ATAT. It was like, there was this one guy who just the whole time, I wasn't trying to be this sexy little kitten that he kept shouting I was, Did
he literally yell out sexy kitten?
Literally. And, whistling. Wow. And, it's like, I'm not a hooker on stage, man. I'm singing rock and roll. I'm singing about my feelings. I'm singing about stuff that I've done. Situations, like, listen to me, don't just look at me, even though it's part of it,
right?
But I feel like men get the same stuff too, that just because you're a man doesn't mean that you like that shit either,
It's weird.
Yeah,
I've been on stage before, and it's like afterwards, like, oh my god, no, and it's like, hey, what was your favorite song? And it's silence.
Yeah.
And so I get that.
Yeah,
and I think that's unfortunate that even still in like 2018, 2019, that's something that people have to battle. But I think it's gotten a lot better, which is cool.
Definitely. I mean, even me versus like one of my first bands when I was out here called Boldly We Rise, till now, I felt like, then it was way more focused that I was a female and not a singer, It's like, that shouldn't matter. I'm a singer, regardless of my gender.
Clean your ears, bro.
Yeah.
Clean your ears out, bro. No, 1,000%. But I'm just glad that I feel like that narrative's getting challenged even more so. But, not getting political, that stuff just gets a little, like, kind of off the rails. But, I just think it's badass. Are you gonna go see the movie, the Joan Jett movie?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's my
She's
mother.
such a badass.
That's my mother. I saw her 2 years ago live, and I've never cried so hard in my life. Seeing that woman in a purple, sparkly, glittery jumpsuit at her age and still looking better than I could even imagine wearing that. I mean, she was amazing. Her voice, she still had the muscles and the androgyny, and she had, the grit and it was so good. She was amazing. I mean, just having that opportunity. But when that movie comes out, I feel like people might think twice about women and, music in general.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think especially in rock and roll music, that's always been a thing that's kind of been a battle because it's been like super male dominated, both like in the industry, like behind the scenes, and then just, what most people see are just dudes rocking for the most part. So It's refreshing and I love it. So I think it's super cool.
That's awesome.
I saw that you guys are about to open up for LA Guns.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we are.
You excited?
I'm so
Good
excited.
Lord.
I mean, I feel like, just the opportunities that we've gotten in such a small amount of time, like playing the Marquee Theater, where I've seen, bands that I absolutely adore, walk across that stage. And now I'm getting to do that. And especially, LA Guns, they're old rock and roll, classic hair and, the guitar solos.
Yeah, it's like Slash's cousin or something.
Yeah.
Like, no offense taken. I mean, that is a compliment.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so that's on November 24th. So we're more than excited.
Yeah, I'll be there. That'll be a sick show.
Oh, yeah.
So, cool.
I'm so excited.
Cool. And I was going to ask you too, who are so far since you guys have started, who are some of your favorite like local bands that you guys have played, or where are some of your favorite places to play out?
Oh man, that's so hard because we've played so many multi-genre shows.
Sure.
So we don't just play with indie bands. We don't just play with rock and roll bands. We don't just play with female fronted bands. We played with metal bands, death metal bands. We've played with, the indiest of indie, the rock and roll of rock and roll, the poppy. We've done a show with rappers. Yeah.
That's tight.
Yeah.
I love
so
rap.
that's what's cool about having like a roots, having that roots, like just rock and roll. You wouldn't have that. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't have this and this other, but that's really hard. But obviously one for me personally was playing with Wives.
Yeah. Wives is great.
Yeah.
They're on the 28th.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the Van Buren.
Which is sick.
Like, that is the best venue that I've ever been to, at least in Arizona. So cool.